As I said in the last video, what I wanted to do was kind of try to take you through all the process that I went through, starting from when I was in the military as a medic, going down through all of my grades in my undergrad, all the way through my CASP application. Um, just so you can get a quick idea, maybe you can compare, um, you know, your stats compared to mine. I wouldn't necessarily um, make a decision solely based on this because our experiences are going to differ from each other. I might have more experience in some areas, and you might have more than I did. Um, so, starting with the grades first, this is the first university that I went to straight out from the military. Um, I did get a lot of A's, but one thing I wanted to focus on was a lot of science courses that would um, count as electives toward my pre-med degree. Um, so Intro to Psych, Organization, Professional Communication, that's your speech. So I got A's there. And going into the next semester here, this is pretty much just the basic courses that everyone needs to take. Um, I would definitely recommend and advise that do not take these courses lightly just because they're your basic 2-year courses, because these grades will affect your overall GPA, and you want to put yourself in the best position as much as possible when competing with other students. Um, so I took a lot of some psych and some sociology classes. Those are some of my favorite courses to take. And then once I started going into the bio classes, what I tried to do was I tried to get my core classes, my science courses, and I tried to load up on them so I could challenge myself with each semester. One thing that I had some friends doing that I did not want to do was take one hard class and then the rest of the classes, have as electives. That's something that I didn't want to do. So I tried as much as I could, as best as I could, to keep uh, the the courses challenging. You can see here that I had gotten a C in my bio class. Um, what happened here was I had decided to go to work full time while going to school full time, and I underestimated um, how much I would need to study and put towards school, and that really showed through my grade here. I really suffered at this point right here with my first bio class. After that little wake up call, I uh, I dedicated myself to studying 6 to 7 hours a day as much as I could. If I didn't work that day, I would be up at 6 a.m. studying. Would study for a few hours, take a lunch break, and then go back to studying. And then you can see that the grades did pick up the next semester. Um, don't uh, beat yourself up over if you get like a B or something. This B was probably, I'm more proud of this B than I was of any of these A's that I got, because this professor was very challenging, um, very, very challenging, her course in literary analysis. So I'm really proud of this B right here. I wish I could have gotten an A, but I did not. So you move on. And then going into other courses here, you're going to see a few withdrawals that I have because of military duty. I used to be very, how can I say, I was kicking myself in the butt because, military did come first. So if there was a conflict with the schedule, it was a class that I would actually have to drop. So unfortunately, there's a few withdrawals here that you can see here. I thought this was really going to affect me in the end. I don't know if it was just because I was military that they really gave me a break when it comes to withdrawals, but they told me not to worry about it when I did my interviews for PA school. And pretty much just going through the basic courses here. So once you start going through your courses like anatomy and physiology, um, I would recommend choosing the hardest professor that you can get. A lot of students these days, what they're doing is they're trying to choose the easiest professors, the easy grade. but that's not going to benefit you in the long run. You really need to know this stuff, and you want to have a professor that challenges you. And for this anatomy, this A&P 1 class, this professor really did challenge us. I mean, our exams were pretty heavy. 50% were multiple choice questions where pretty much all the answer choices looked the same. They just had a little variation between them. And in the other half, um, we'd have to choose 5 to 6 essay questions that we'd have to write about, and we'd have to write in full description, full accuracy, the healing process, when someone is, when there's a cut, the birthing process from start to beginning, from start to end, sorry. There was just a lot of different things that we had to write about. So this professor definitely made it challenging for us. But at the end, we knew the information. We could reiterate everything. We knew how to recall everything as opposed to just learning it for the moment and then dumping it. So keep in mind when you're taking these courses, you want to do your best in all the courses that you're taking because you want to study a good habit, but really focus on these science courses because you're going to end up taking them again in PA school and you don't want to fall behind. Let's see here. So we have the Gen Chem right there. Also, what you want to make sure is that um, your college advisors are telling you about the right classes to take here. Okay, the reason I say that is because I was told to take health science chemistry. This does not apply to pre-med. So essentially when I got to the university, they told me, well, this doesn't apply to your degree because this is health science chemistry. That's for like nursing or kinesiology. And so I had to go back, and I ended up taking 3 chemistry courses to make up for that. So again, your general microbiology, you want to go ahead and focus on that. Your chemistry as well. Your chemistry, you're going to end up taking organic chemistry, and that is one of the hardest classes I ever had to take. Some people have a natural gift on learning material and chemistry and biology, but for me that just wasn't the case. I actually had to work really hard and study long hours, pretty much closing out Starbucks every night to pass my chemistry course. Um, Here you see the withdrawal right there. So fortunately, the withdrawals did not affect the GPA, so I ended up um, getting my associate's degree with 3.72 in biological science. Now, moving on to the university. So all these courses right here are courses that I took at the previous college. So the T is going to be for transfer. And then these are just the grades that I got. That's just seeing the general biology, the A's and the B's here. These do not count toward your university GPA. So still, again, the human anatomy courses all from the previous college. Here is where we start getting into the courses that I took at the university. This A&P class, I would have to say it was very sad experience for me because the professors definitely change sometimes. Some of them do when you go to university level. I did not get the same level of teaching from this university professor than I did with my A&P 1 class. This class right here was literally it was so easy. It's so crazy how people didn't pass. Um, but it was just such an easy course when it should have been challenging. Another thing that really kind of irked me was, you have these rooms that hold hundreds of people. My class was 300 people in it. And then you have people sitting all the way in the back who are using their notes to take the class, and they're cheating, and they're scoring high grades. And at first that kind of bothered me, and it should bother people because these are the same people that you're going to be competing with to get into nursing or to PA or to medical school or dental school. But at the end of the day, you have the exams, the like the MCAT, and then now the physician assistant school has the PCAT. And if these students really don't know this information, and it's just gonna reflect in their entrance exam. So here you can see that I got a C in Challenges of Modern Culture. I really had no business being in that class. However, one of my advisors told me that I was qualified to be in there. That it would be a good idea to take it. And I think this is actually where my GPA, yeah, my GPA tanked. I was at a 4.0. I mean, I only had taken 2 classes, but nevertheless, I was at a 4.0, and this really dropped me down to, I think, a 3.5. From there, uh, being at a 3.5, you don't want to drop any lower than that. At least I didn't want to, because I wanted to graduate with honors, and I knew that I would be competing with people 3.5 and higher to even 4.0 getting into PA school. So once I dropped there, I I kind of took it as there's no cushion there for me to go any lower. Um, so then I tried to maintain as much A's and B's as I could, and I made sure that I took courses every single semester. I took courses in spring, summer one, summer two, fall. I don't know if I took anything during winter, but I probably, if there was, I would have taken it. But if I didn't take it, then there wasn't a class available for me for my degree. Um, and then again, as you can see here, that I did make it challenging. It wasn't a Cal 1 class with education class, something easy. It was always challenging um, courses, because I needed to make sure that I developed a strong study habit, and that I could be able to handle such a challenging course load, I guess you can say, because I knew PA school was not going to be easy. These classes as well, genetics, histology, you want to make sure you study these as much as you can. Histology, I believe you will go over it again in PA school. So a really good thing to do is to make sure you keep your notes, get detailed notes, and try to review it before going into PA school. I did take some electives. Some of the science courses were not available to me in the summer, so I just had a little fun with some criminal justice courses. And then I also took my statistics, which was an okay class. Let's see here. This organic chemistry, where is it at? I don't. Yeah. So the organic chemistry. This class, I don't think I've ever studied as hard ever in my life than I did for organic chemistry. My friends and I, this is pretty much where we started our study groups. You have to realize sometimes that you can't learn everything by yourself, and doing study groups would really behoove you in passing a class and getting good grades. You can work off each other. There might be things that they can see that you don't see, and vice versa. Okay, so again, as you can see, the common theme is keeping the classes challenging throughout the entire semester, not letting up and not really giving myself the opportunity to slack off. Um, One of my last semesters here, this is probably my favorite semester, this class, molecular cell biology. I really love that class. Unfortunately, I got a B. And toxicology, organic chemistry 2, OChem 2, and biochem. Those are really good classes. Again, those are classes you want to go over prior going into PA school, and you're probably really going to need them for the PCAT. As of right now, for this year, the PCAT is not required to get into PA school. This is a brand new exam, entrance exam they just came out with this year. So some schools recommend it, but it's not required. But I think starting the next cycle for PA school, which is April 2021, you might need to have the PCAT. I think it's called PACAT, physician assistant something. Um, and a lot of these courses, a lot of this information is going to come up. Organic chemistry is on there. I think biochem is on there as well. and A&P, human anatomy physiology. And pretty much my last semester, it was a summer. I pretty much took it easy. Took 4 classes there. It wasn't too bad. Um, I ended up graduating with a 3.53 GPA. Now, as you can see, I mean, going from the 3.50 here, where is it at? The 3.50, because of the C that I had, somewhere up here, 3.50. I mean, I really had to maintain A's and B's just to keep my head above water. I mean, if I had gotten one C out of all these grades, and I probably would have dropped down below a 3.5. Fortunately, I was able to keep myself up above 3.5, which I think really did a lot for me when it came to applying for PA school. Now, as far as applying for PA school, this is CASPA right here. Okay, this is the website that you're going to be using to apply to PA school. You know, it's going to ask you to enter your information, you know, release statements pretty much, just saying, you know, I mean, you'll read over all this. It's just some of the regulations that they have here that you agree to. You're putting in your biographic information, contact, citizenship, as you can see here, race, ethnicity, family information. Family information, they're probably, I think right here, they're going to ask you what's the highest level of education that your parents have. And they're going to ask you whether or not you're a first generation college student or not. And it's going to ask you a bit more information about your demographics on where you grew up and whatnot. So going back here, so that's your personal information. Your academic history, this is where you're going to enter your high school attendant, your colleges. So once you go here, it'll have that information there. Transcript entry. I think you can actually pay CASPA to enter this information. I think it's like $250, which if you have the time to do it yourself, it probably should just do it yourself here. So pretty much all you're doing is you're going to go and you're going to enter all the grades that you have. You have to be very specific. You have to be accurate, because if you enter something wrong, that's going to hold up your application. And they may not find it right away. And even if they do, they may not respond to you right away or send out a notification. So that's just going to eat up time on your timeline to apply for PA school. And what I wanted to do in my case was I wanted to apply as soon as I could, as soon as pretty much the doors open to CASPA. So again, you're just entering, and you can get this information off of your transcripts right here. So you just enter all your grades. You know, it's asking you for the year. I kind of guesstimated like what I would be here, just judging on how many credit hours I had. I don't think I was completely accurate, but I don't think they really focus too much if there's a little discrepancy here on whether you're sophomore or freshman at the time. And pretty much it'll tell you, oh, so these are the schools. So once you apply for the schools, it'll tell you all the prerequisites that are required for that school. So, you know, Arizona School of Health Sciences, these are all the required courses. And then it'll tell you how many grades. So if it says 2 minimum, you're looking at a lab and a lecture. If it says 2 minimum, it could be biochemistry, and it's very detailed as well. It says with or without lab. So there's really no way to make an error here as far as missing something, because it literally it guides you in great specificity on what courses you need and what will satisfy this requirement here. And then, so as you can see, I applied to a lot of schools, because I wanted to get, I wanted this to be a one and done situation. I did not want to do this again. Okay, and then the next thing is standardized test. I did take the GRE. Don't think it will let me show you my score here. You know what? It will not let me show you my score. But what I can do is show you on my PA box. So as soon as that loads up, we'll go over there. And so let's go back to my application, supporting information here. And let me go ahead and log in, and no, thank you. And so supporting information, your evaluations, these are all the different subsections you're going to have to fill out here. So evaluations, these are going to be your letters of recommendation. It says you must have a minimum of 3 requested evaluations, but you can go ahead and put 5 here. Now, one thing that I want to recommend to you is you need to go to each school and find out what letters of recommendation they require. When I first started applying to PA school, I thought I just need to I should be good if I get like a PA and that's it, and maybe a teacher. Some are good with just PAs. Some require a medical provider and a teacher. Some require a work supervisor. And if you're not working, then you need to find out what you're going to do. You might need to start working to get yourself that reference. So as you can see here, these people right here are all providers. This is a work supervisor that I had, and this is a professor. So this satisfied the requirement for that. And then you're going to put in your experiences here. So the biggest thing that I think worked in my favor was the fact that I was a medic in the military. So I became a medic in 2008, and I've been an EMT since then. And I've had a lot of different jobs, a lot of different positions here. I was a line medic, and then I was a trauma table senior medic, and then I had my civilian EMT experience, and then I had my government EMT experience working with immigrants. So there's a lot of different types of experience that I did as an EMT, which helped me with my application. So maybe one thing that I didn't do, I didn't volunteer anywhere. I was a non-traditional student. By the time that I applied for PA school, I had a family, I had a kid. I was working full-time, going to school full-time, so I really prioritized working and going to school and my family over volunteering. So volunteering is something that I actively chose not to do. So achievements, any achievement that you have, no matter how small you think it is, put it on there. If everybody at university graduates cum laude, it doesn't matter. Put it on there. Okay. License and certifications. Pretty much my EMT, my NR EMT license and my state license will go on there. This is the essay that you're going to have to submit when going to PA school. Now, my essay, I didn't. One thing that I really hated was I did a lot of research when it comes to essays. So I was like, well, what is a PA essay? What does this personal essay sound like? What should it be like? And I used to see a lot of essays where it just sounded really like too much like a Hollywood script. They were saying things like, it was a cold night in November and I was laying on the street after I had been ejected from a vehicle or something. It was just too much out there. It was too scripted. It was too Hollywoodish, and I had decided that I wasn't going to do that. So I said straight up in my personal essay, I told them, look, it's very simple. I saw where my role ended as an EMT and where it began as a PA, and I saw the limitations of my job, and I decided that I wanted to do more. I'm like, that's it. You're not going to find anything else. There's not. I wasn't having some existential crisis. I wasn't, in a car accident, and as I was getting ejected from my vehicle, and I was flying through the air, I wasn't thinking, hey, it's just a really good time that I should become a PA. It wasn't some crazy story like that. It was just straight to the point. I'm not going to feed you any bull. Obviously, I didn't say that like that, but it was a little more elegant. It was just straight to the point. This is why I want to become a PA. And when it came time to doing my interview, they were very happy that I had an answer like that, because even one of them said, thank God you're not coming to us with one of those rehearsed essays, because we can see those coming from a mile away, and a lot of them, they're just not original. So keep that in mind, when it comes time to doing your interviews and your personal essays, just keep it real. If you're genuine about wanting to be in this job, then your answers are going to be fine. Don't make up an answer, don't lie. If you're an EMT and your whole career has been easy, you haven't had a trauma, all your patients have been good, just say that. Just say, I've been fortunate enough that I haven't been put in a situation where my patient went south on me. It's about being upfront and honest, and that's what they really appreciate. I don't think you're going to have to worry about this COVID-19 thing. If you don't know what COVID-19 is, then you don't have to worry about this. But for those of you that remember, yeah, I mean, if COVID-19 is still affecting it, this will probably still be up there. Your documents, I didn't have any documents I wanted to add. So we go back to my application. So we went over these 3 sections. Now let's go over program materials. These are all the schools that I applied for, 20 schools. My list was actually a lot higher. I think it was like at 25 schools. And my fiance's like, you're local, you're not going to apply to 25 schools. We need to narrow that down. And so we started going through the schools, and this is the final list that we came up with. This school right here, I really wanted to be called by this school, but unfortunately, they never got back to me. As of right now, I mean, it's July 6th. I mean, they still have a few months to go, but these are all the schools that I applied to. And if you click on, let's click on Northern Arizona. Some of them are going to be detailed like this, but some of them are just going to be very basic, and you're going to have to go to another website to look at their information. Let's see here. So it gives a little bit about the university and what they're about. It'll tell you at the bottom, when the term starts, how long it is. Sometimes it'll say how long it is, whether it's on campus or if it's online, because some courses are online and some are hybrid. Some are campus and online, and some are just online. Some questions that you have here, again, it's little essay questions as why you'd make a good asset, what connections do you have. Obviously, I didn't have any connections. I wasn't there, living there. Academics, please. Academic challenges. So these are just some types of questions that they'll ask you. Again, don't lie. Just be honest and upfront. Don't be in a rush to answer these either. That's why you want to start this application process early. You want to get as much done on these sections right here, okay? So that as soon as the cycle opens up, you can go ahead and start selecting your schools and answering all your questions. Because the last thing that you want to do is when the cycle opens up is still be working on these 3 things right here, okay? So keep that in mind. Call CASPA and ask them, when is the soonest that I can start working on my application for the next coming cycle, and they'll let you know, okay? But you want to make sure you have all this information prepared. Talk to your evaluators months ahead of time. Okay, that should be one of the first things that you're doing when you're going to school, because you want them to have you want them to remember you. You want to be memorable, have a lasting impression, so that they write you such a good letter and they're genuine about it, and it doesn't sound rehearsed and it doesn't sound like a copy and paste thing. Okay, so keep that in mind. So these are the schools that I applied to. Fortunately, I was lucky enough to get accepted into the Yale University Physician Assistant online program, and that was actually the top of my choice, and I'm very fortunate to get accepted there, because this allows me to stay at home in Texas with my family and my little boy, and still be able to support them while being able to go to school at the same time. So if I did get a few more interviews here, I did get a few more offers, but since this was at the top of my choice, it was also one of the most expensive choices. But after all my benefits, I'll probably cut that down to 50% after all my benefits are done. Um, this was the most logical choice for myself. This was the best choice. So you go through, you add all your programs, you submit your application. So here, I think this ended up costing around $2,000, I think, to submit for all of these applications here. And then you can go ahead and check your status. Oh, I did forget to mention that your CASPA ID is right here. This is an important number. You don't need to memorize it, but it'll be there, but this is where you find it. Once your transcripts arrive, evaluations arrive, standard tests, it'll be right there. I'm trying to click on it. No, it's not. Let me show you guys. Okay, and then pretty much once you you know you submit it, this is how it's going to be like. Now this is not going to be automatically verified. Once they verify your application, the school looks at you, then this will be updated as verified. So right now everybody verified me. So again, and this is pretty much the entire CASPA application that you filled out, just in this form right here. Okay. Okay, so let me show you guys. This is this is one of the things what I'm saying where a lot of people don't do. Okay, they say they're gonna do it, but they don't. I showed you my grades. I showed you my classes. I showed you the stuff like the withdrawing and everything. My GRE score. Some schools require the GRE, some don't. I took the GRE because I wanted more options to be available to me. Had a really bad experience with the GRE because it was online. Part of it was technical issues, part of it was just myself. I scored pretty bad. So here are my scores. I got a 146 in verbal, 140 in quantitative, which is that is pathetic, and a 3.5 in my writing. These are my scores, ladies and gentlemen. You know, there's really no explanation for it, except for the fact that I just kind of bombed it. I mean, I kind of prepared for it. I didn't. There was a lot of things going on in my life right at that time that it was just a lot of stress going on. However, I do want you to look at this and know that with the schools that I applied to, there are, so these are the schools that require the GRE. Okay, I did get an invitation for the interview for some of these schools, and I did get a letter of acceptance for some of these schools, even with the GRE score that I had. Excuse me. So I'm not saying to, don't take it seriously, to bomb it. No, you want to do your best. You want to do your best on these entrance exams because it'll just open up more doors. I think the reason that I was able to get accepted into some of these programs, even with the score that I had, was because of my history, because of my experience. I was considered a non-traditional student. I was in the military for several years as an EMT. I worked under PAs, doctors, nurses. I had my own, I was a senior, I was a sole medic at one point, senior line medic. I was the only medic for a group of 35 to 45 guys in my deployments to Afghanistan. So there are things that made my packet very competitive and stronger. There were very strong areas in my packet, and then there was very weak areas such as the GRE. So, like I said, you saw everything. Here are my transcripts for the schools. Here's the CASPA. PA box. This is also something I want to show you guys. I don't get paid to talk about them, but one thing I did like about them was the fact, let's see here, that you can go ahead and keep track of the schools that you apply to. I and this is where I got really bad. Once I started getting, once I got accepted to Yale, I kind of just, but this is 100. All these should be 100%. I completed every single one of these. Pretty much the only one that I did was because Yale was the first school that I got an interview, and it was the first school that I got accepted to. So as soon as that happened, I kind of just threw everything on the wayside. Um, but yeah, so whatever, if you're in progress, it'll be right here, ready to apply. It'll be all the schools right here that you're ready to apply to. These are the schools. Okay, your apply tab. This is who you apply to. It tells you what percentage you've completed. And then let's see here. Call for interview, Emory, right? And then accepted to Yale. So let's go to Yale. So Yale School of Medicine. Now, I think they're always updating this. For instance, like for me, this is not accurate. I wish it was 101,000. I think it's about 110,000 into the cohort that I'm going into. But it tells you what the pass rate is. The pass rate. First time was 100%. 5-year first time pass rate is 98%. It tells you the details. It's a master's. So there's two different PA courses, PA programs at Yale. There's the online program that starts in spring, in January, which is the one that I'm in, and there is one that is on campus, which starts in fall. Okay, they're both 28 months. I think the class size is probably the same. The seat deposit is actually 1,500, not 1,000. Well, at least for mine, it's 1,500. Might be 1,000 for them. This is where the school is located. However, with my program, I will be doing it from where I live. Rolling admissions. Okay, so I actually kind of love schools that have rolling admissions because if you apply early enough, that's less people that you're competing with. Now, there are going to be a lot of people who are looking at the same thing and doing the same thing you're doing and applying at the same time you're applying. But the good thing about this, if you have everything ready and you apply as soon as you can, you might be in a part where you have like an early decision. Okay, so if you get called for an interview and they like what they hear and you can tell, I mean, you can tell with the interaction and everything, you can hear right away. I had my interview maybe like, when did I apply? I applied I started applying the first week of May, but I don't think I submitted my application until the second week of May. I had my interview in June. I think it was like June 1st or 2nd. And then I had my offer, my acceptance to Yale. Like 2 days later, I got the phone call saying, "Congratulations, we're extending you an offer in the PA program." Okay, so that's rolling admissions. That would be really, really good for you guys to apply for that. Okay, so that's why you want to get everything done ahead of time. And pretty much, this doesn't really apply to me, but this is good information to have. It'll tell you what the deadline is for the application. So as you can see here, this is the same deadline that it is for the online program. And I got my decision in June. So it really does benefit you sometimes to have your things ready to apply early. Now, don't rush to do this stuff. Make sure everything's accurate. Make sure you're good with your application. And if you are, then it'd be really good to apply early. Let's see here. There is a $50 fee. That is correct for both of the online. Let's see here. So this was updated June 30th. So this is definitely for the campus. So this is for the campus, and this is probably I think this is for the campus as well. So requirements. It'll say what degree you need. It'll say what the minimum GPA is. The required GPA is 3.0. And then according to this, mine is 3.5, okay? Prerequisites, it'll tell you what prerequisite courses you need. microbiology, human anatomy, physiology. It's very, very, very detailed. Um, it'll also tell you what the school lets you. The school says that you can have one prerequisite pending while applying, and then you got to have a minimum of a B for pending prerequisites. Let's see here. Evaluations, so this is what I was saying here for the evaluations. Specific evaluators required, any medical professional. So for here, with my evaluations, I would have been good with just using the PAs and the NP. This provider, I wouldn't have needed them. GRE score, this is a required score. They didn't require the GRE this year, so I feel like I kind of lucked out there. I'm not sure how my application would have been with the GRE, but you can put your GRE score. I had a combined 286. This is, we already talked about this. Let's see here. And healthcare experience. So the recommended hours were 1,000. Again, guys, I had a lot of years, so I had about just shy of 19,000. I was 18.5 on mine. PA shadowing is recommended, not required, but I just put 480 for the time that I was deployed. GPA, so this is the overall science and overall, the science and the overall from the prior cycle that got accepted into the Yale program. This is the average of the hours that they had, and these were their previous GRE scores. So as you can see, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know. But as a non-traditional student, I probably could have, maybe I would have still gotten a yes. I don't know. Anyway, well, so that's one way to keep track of your schools. And then another cool thing about this is you can actually do a search. So let's say if you want to do a school match, right? So let's say, you know what, I only want to choose to go to school in California. So let me see what schools are there. And these are all the PE schools that are in California. All of them. And you simply just click on the ones that you're interested in. And again, just look through the information. Are they accredited? Yes, they're continued accreditation. That's an important thing as well. And just the same thing that we looked at with the Yale program. And this will help you keep track. The reason that I love this website is because what I used to do is I used to get a sheet of paper, write out all the schools, and write out their GPA requirement, the GRE, everything. And I used to check mark, and I did an Excel sheet, and that just became so frustrating to deal with. So when I heard about this site, I decided to pay for it. I think it's like $60. It's a one-time charge, but it helps you keep everything in order. You can put your grades in. Again, your colleges that you went to, PA shadowing, your healthcare hours, right here. Actually have a lot more by now. Your evaluators right here, and then your exams that you took. So Casper, that's another thing as well, is make sure whether or not your PA program requires you to have Casper. If you do, then you need to go ahead and take that, and you can't apply without it. So that's pretty much the end of the video, guys. If you guys have any questions on anything that we've covered, or maybe I missed something, or just have any questions in general, just go ahead and send me a message. My virtual door is always open. I want to help you guys as much as I can to answer your questions, make you feel more confident about applying for PA school. Thanks for watching.